We're here to talk about from stuck to clear, 5 steps to a designed and aligned career. And these are the things that we will cover today. So, why you're feeling stuck, we're going to clarify what's not working, we're going to clarify what you actually want, and then identify what is really getting in the way. And finally, we are going to turn insights into action. So, by the time you leave the session, you'll have one key action that you will be taking. Okay, so today's promise, you'll have a clear picture of what you want next and 1 to 3 concrete next steps you can take in the next 7 days. All right, so before we start, I want to know in one word, how does your career feel right now? What is coming up for you when you think about your career? If you can share that in the chat or if you want to say it out loud, what is one word that describes your career right now and what's going on for you? Okay. Disappointing. Okay. Confusion. All right. Draining. Boring, comfortable, potential. I love it. I love it. Okay. So, quite a mix of what's going on for you in your career. And so, to that, I'd say let's get some clarity first to understand, like, truly what next steps that you can really take. Okay. So, that being said, I'm going to get right into it. But before we start, a little bit about me. So some of you on the call know me, some might not. And so a little bit about me. I am a career psychotherapist and a career development trainer. So I am based in Ontario, and really my main mission is to empower professionals and organizations to build purposeful, aligned careers. I also equipped leaders and educators with the tools they need to guide others towards their own purposeful growth at the same time. And so my clients move from stuck to strategic in their careers. And I really work with people to help them understand themselves better so that they can be very intentional in the next steps in their career. Okay. So I wanted to share a little bit before we start, a little bit about how I designed my career. So those of you who are feeling, confused, I heard the word confused, I heard bored, I heard disappointed. I felt all of those things too. And I want you to know that you are definitely not alone in what you are experiencing in your career. So when I think about my career, I think about it in 2 key phases. I think about my career pre-kids, so before I had kids, and then I think about my career after I had kids. Quite a night and day experience for me. And so pre-kids, I was very ambitious. I wanted to please others. I would stay late for all the projects. I would travel. I was just very focused on my career, and it felt fulfilling at the time. Then I had my first little one, who's not so little anymore, and things like drastically changed for me. I came back into the workforce, and I realized the structure didn't work for me. I was unfulfilled. I felt like, my work and my ideas were being dismissed, and I just did not feel the best in my career. And so it felt like a little bit of a downward spiral. And then fast forward to the pandemic, and I know a lot of people have the same experience. Something about the pandemic that really disrupted the way that we think about our career path and what's next for us. So the pandemic hit. By that time I had another child, and then from there I was really trying to understand myself a little bit more and really trying to understand, where do I fit in the world of work. And so I continued doing, some work I was working for a corporate organization at the time, developing programs. And again, I still felt like it wasn't for me. It felt like I wasn't able to do the things that I truly wanted to do. And again, the structure was not working for me. And so through that process, I decided to explore everything, right? So I was working my full-time job, I was contracting, I was teaching, I was doing so many different things at once. And then I reached the point where I was doing too much. I was doing too much and I was exhausted. I was reaching the state of burnout and I just felt lost. And so what happened was I had a natural pivot point in my career. So I was actually taking on a contract role, an 18-month contract role for somebody's maternity leave. And that contract came to an end. And now, for most people, when your contract comes to an end, it could be sort of like devastating, or just you just don't know what to do with yourself because there's so much unknown happening. But for me, it felt like relief. It felt like I had like a second chance to do something else. And so for me, I took that time, I took that space, and I created this intentional moment for myself to design my career. Because before that, I was just doing too much, and not all of it was resonating for me. So through that time, I took the space and the time. I actually then created the framework that I work with my clients throughout our time together. I tested it myself, and then I started to work with the most amazing clients, and I designed my business the way that I wanted to see things running for myself and in my career. And so I made the shift from doing too much to balanced, thriving, and sharing my light to empower others. And that truly is something that resonates for me. I was no longer, on that corporate train. I was no longer, embedded in that infrastructure. I was able to take the time that I needed to curate the career that I really wanted for myself. And that's where I am right now. And that's where I want you all to be as well, too, because it is possible to shift into a career that is truly in alignment for where you want to go. It's just that it does take some steps to get there. So that was my story. And so now I want to talk about why you are feeling stuck. Okay. And so here are the three reasons why you are feeling stuck. So, number one, our society is designed to overwhelm our nervous system. Okay. So I can talk about that firsthand because my nervous system was beyond overwhelmed. It was beyond overwhelmed. And like I said, I was doing way too much. And actually, the time where my contract ended, I spent a significant amount of time pouring back into myself and regulating my nervous system. Like a huge chunk of months was spent to pour back into myself and get back to a place where I felt calm, grounded, and just more like myself. And, if you want some of my tips and techniques for that, I can definitely save that for another day for the strategies that I use. But it was something that was completely necessary for me to get that clarity that I needed. The next reason you're stuck is that there is a fear of making the wrong choice. Okay, so most people think that, if they have a career, they make a career decision, and the ultimate sort of like failure is if you make the wrong choice. And I'm here to tell you that there is no wrong choice, right? I always say you can always change your mind, you can always pivot, you can always decide on something else, right? So that is possible for you. And then lastly, another reason why you're stuck is that you are centering other people's perspectives over your own. So, like, what will others think? If I change careers, or if I go from this job, maybe that's like a high level executive job, to something else, what will people think of me? And so it's really important to reflect on those reasons why you are stuck. And so I want you to now kind of reflect. Are there any of these that resonate with you in terms of why you're feeling stuck? And if there is even just something else in there that I haven't covered in terms of why you're feeling stuck today. So is it that, you're overwhelmed with everything that's going on and you feel like your nervous system is in dysregulation? Are there fears around, making the wrong choice? And, or, perhaps you are centering other people's views, other people's perspectives, other people's opinions. So let me know what is resonating for you right now in terms of why you feel stuck. Julie says, all of the above. Okay, I got it. I hear you on that. And that was definitely my case as well too when I was going through it. Okay, number two, number one. So the nervous system is overwhelmed. You're feeling like there's a fear of making the wrong choice. Okay, thank you for sharing that. All right, and so those are some of the reasons that people kind of explore, in terms of why they are feeling stuck. Sarah says, not sure what my passions are. Okay, let's pull that out, Sarah. Let's pull that out. I think that's going to be very, very important to truly understand that. Okay, so now that you know why you're stuck, now we're going to go to clarify what is not working for you. Okay, and so before you know what you want, you have to name what you are just done tolerating. And this helps to ground you in taking your next steps in reality. So for me, I did try a bunch of things, but I did have to slow down to truly figure out what I was really done tolerating and I'm no longer doing anymore in my life or in my career. For me, that was chasing any sort of like titles or just working myself to the point of burnout. I was done tolerating that. And so this is the first activity that I want you to reflect on. We'll take a moment here. So we're going to identify, what do you want to do more of? What do you want to do less of? And what are your non-negotiables? Okay, so this is where the notebook will come in handy to reflect on this here. So what do you want to do more of? What do you want to do less of? And what are the non-negotiables? So I want you to take a few minutes here just to note your points. And this doesn't have to be a deep reflection, just like what is coming up for you right now? What is coming up for you in terms of what you want to do more of, what you want to do less of, and what you just will not accept for yourself. And then if anybody is brave enough, you can definitely share it in the chat and let me know what is coming up for you. All right, so Juliet says, I want more flexibility with my schedule. Okay, so that's something that you want more of, more flexibility. Okay, that's really important. And Juliet, I resonate with you with that so much because I definitely wanted and needed more flexibility in my life. I want to do more intentional work rather than transactional work as a social worker. Okay, thank you for sharing that. And I do think that's really important as well too, because that is a huge shift to go from really just doing transactional to really intentional. Like that is a huge shift at the same time. So even when you're thinking about your career, what does that look like for you? What does intentional versus transactional look like? All right, so more stability. I love my work, but I have clients who like to work after hours. Got it. So more stability, and perhaps it's more of like the structure that you embed for yourself. All right, more of higher income. Yes to that. Higher income, less of travel for work, and non-negotiables, toxic work culture. I am with you on that. And I think an important part when you're thinking about your career is also thinking about like what does that work culture look like? So even just defining that for yourself, because not every work culture is the best. All right. Anybody else in terms of even what they want to do less of or your non-negotiables? Like, do you all know what your non-negotiables are? I would love to hear more about that. Like my non-negotiable is working long hours. I will not be working long hours. I will be working intentional hours. Micromanagers. All right. So non-negotiable. We're not doing micromanagers. More coaching and less HR consulting. Redesign my business to identify new ways for you to do more coaching. Yes, I hear you on that. And sometimes, if you are running a business, sometimes it's a bit about a redesign or a shift in terms of what it is that we're doing. And asking yourself, what is lighting you up and what is no longer lighting you up, and getting rid of the thing that is no longer lighting you up, and or reducing significantly what is not lighting you up. Non-negotiables, more work, assembly. Oh, sorry, no more assembly line type of work. Okay, amazing. All right, non-negotiables, toxic work environments and people. I sense a theme right now. No more toxicity. We don't have the time or the energy for that. Non-negotiable work-life balance. Yes, yes, I'm so with you on the work-life balance. Like we need balance, like we're human beings, we need to have balance, and there is life outside of work. There is definitely life outside of work. Okay, amazing. I love that we all reflected on that. Okay, so now that we know what we want to do more of, less of, and what the non-negotiables are, let's go ahead and clarify what you want more of. So we are focusing on what do you want more of so that you can redesign and shift your career. Okay, so from running away to moving towards. So a lot of the times what I'm finding, and certainly for quite a lot of my clients as well too, is that they'll say to me, Jody, I'm just applying to every job because like I just want to get out of my current work environment. And, I consistently say to them, like, that's not necessarily the best strategy if you want to be more intentional about your career. So instead of, formulating a plan to run away, and certainly if you do need to formulate a plan to run away because it is an extremely high toxic environment, yes, I'm there with you. However, if you want to be more intentional about your career, it's about moving forward and moving towards the things that really light us up, right? So here's a little bit of a framework. So this is the values and strengths framework that I do want you all to reflect on as well. So when we think about our values, how do you want work to feel? How do you want work to feel? And then reflecting on your strengths at the same time, how do you naturally contribute? And also, I'll also add a caveat to the strengths piece as well too. Is it a strength that you want to continue to strengthen? Because not every strength is something that we want to take forward with us. So something to consider when we're thinking about what's next for us. So how do you want work to feel? And how do you naturally contribute? Okay, so here is a values reflection exercise. So grab your notebook again. Here, I want you to think of a time at work where you felt energized. What were you doing? What made it feel satisfying for you? And then on the contrary, when you do feel frustrated at work, what value is being violated for you? And I want you to reflect on that and then see what words come up for you. And, you can star or circle the words that feel the most important for you. So again, really just focusing on number one, a time at work you felt energized. You can reflect on one moment. And then two, what is happening for you when you're getting frustrated? What is happening? What value is being violated? So let's spend a few moments here to reflect on this. And if anybody has completed this activity, feel free to share if you feel comfortable, what has gotten you energized and what also keeps you frustrated at work. All right, I have some answers in the chat. So feeling energized when I experiment with new ideas and get creative. Okay, I love that. And what that tells me is that there needs to be more emphasis placed on the creativity side of things for you. All right, feeling frustrated with repetitive work. I hear you on that. All right, feeling energized when I can work with others to help them realize their true potential. I resonate with that so much. And that's why I love what I do and the clients that I work with because it's just so impactful to be able to help other people realize their potential. When I'm engaging my intellect, yes, 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 I love that. I feel frustrated when there is a lack of transparency. I feel energized when all the team working hard and collaboratively towards a common goal. So elements of working in like a team environment and working towards a common goal. Okay, that's amazing. So what that also tells me is that it's really important around the team because like that also lets us in on your values. So sometimes your team environment can be really important to you when it comes to your career. Energize when helping plan social engagements for staff. Okay, I love that. And perhaps a part of that is around like coordinating, organizing, making sure that like the team is happy. So what is in there that you can do more of? All right. Anybody else want to share their energizers? I'll share mine. Mine is definitely similar to Dorothy's, which is like really helping people, realize what they're truly meant for and helping them get aligned in their career. Like that truly gets me going. Okay. I feel energized when I'm able to help people. I feel frustrated when I'm unable to find balance between family time, work, and work hours. So it sounds like balance is something that's truly important for you in there. And I feel like I could do a whole other session on balance and boundary setting as well too, because that is so key to getting that balance in there. You ever kind of meet people that are like just able to just shut it down whenever work is done, like 5 o'clock, that's it. That is like a hard boundary when it comes to work-life balance. I get energized when I'm working to up to my fullest potential. Oh, I love that. And it sounds like, it's something that's like really resonating for you. And then you're able to use your skills, abilities, impact to really generate something that is worthwhile for you. Okay, so thank you so much for sharing what is truly energizing for you and at the same time what is also frustrating. And so something to also consider here is when you are thinking about the career energizers, you want to focus more of your energy on what truly lights you up and what is the thing that's keeping you going. And then you want to do less of the thing that is keeping you frustrated. Okay. All right. Did I miss something in the chat? Sorry, let me just go ahead and take a look. Frustrated about doing a quota. I hear you on that. I hear you on that. All right. So let's move on to the next slide. So these are some strength reflection prompts that you can definitely engage in. And so when we kind of think about our strengths, it's, what do people come to you for help with? What feels oddly easy that for you can sometimes feel hard for others? And then this most important question here, if you could spend 70% of your time on one kind of task, what would this be? Okay, I'm going to engage you to put that down in the chat. If you could spend 70% of your time on one kind of task, what would it be? Like quickly, put it in the chat. Like, what would that thing be for me? Mine would be like just working with clients, helping people. Okay, what else? What else? What would you spend 70% of your time on? Coaching and mentoring. I love that. What else is coming up? 70% of your time building things. All right. Thank you. What else? 70% of your time. What is coming up for you? What would you like to do with 70% of your time? Loving that last question. I love automating things, creating graphic templates, then can be reused multiple times. Oh, I love that, Julia. And do you know who would benefit off of that? Business owners that don't have time to create a whole process for themselves. So maybe there's an idea for you. All right. Quality conversations. Okay, I love that. You would spend 70% of your time in quality conversations. Yes, I think I would too. Being creative. I love that. Being creative. Okay. What else do we have here? Guiding and helping people to receive a direction. Effective leadership training. Okay. Helping others plan events or trips. See, you all don't need career clarity. You have it already. You're telling me these are the things that you would do to spend 70% of your time on. Like, I think that's pretty insightful right now. So now if you know that's the thing that you would spend 70% of your time on, let's get into the next question of what is really getting in your way of making that happen? So we had so many ideas in the chat here around what you would spend 70% of your time on, but what is truly getting in the way of this? Okay, so here are some common blockers, and of course, there are many more as well, but these are some of the common ones. So there is the, again, fear of failure or doing the wrong choice, quote unquote, wrong choice. People pleasing and other people's expectations could block things. Money insecurity, that's definitely a huge one because we all need to pay our bills at the same time. And then identity. Who am I if I change, right? I mean, I went from, individual contributor to leader to now entrepreneur. Like that's a lot of identity changes, I would say, and throw in being a mom at the same time. That's a lot of identity changes, but as human beings, we shift and we change. And so here are some structural barriers as well too that can be quite common. So, especially in the workplace. So, ageism, racism, any sort of discrimination that's happening in the workplace, that is definitely a common barrier. Caregiving responsibilities, hi, hello, right? Most of us are actually in the sandwich generation. We're taking care of our kids, and then we're also taking care of our parents or our loved ones. So that's a lot of responsibility. And then you throw that into what am I going to do next in my career? That's a lot. Of course, there is chronic stress and health challenges. And when I said that, I had that natural career transition and I was pouring back into myself, it was because I was feeling chronic stress. And, those health challenges really manifest into so many different areas. And then the economic constraints, it's like, can you do this? Is this something that you can afford, especially if you have a family? I think this is something that's definitely very common. Okay, so now we're going to rate each blocker for how much it's affecting you right now. Maybe circle or not circle, identify your top one and two, and just kind of reflect on how does this show up for me right now? So if you are a caregiver, how does this block show up for you in your career? If you have economic constraints, how does this show up for you? If you have some concerns about your stress, what does that look like? Do one or two or three of these resonate with you all and what you're experiencing right now? Let me know in the chat. What are the common blockers that you are experiencing right now, and how is it showing up for you? All right. Anybody have any common blockers that's showing up for them, and what does that look like right now? Caregiving responsibilities, chronic stress, health challenges, some economic constraints. Yeah, that's quite a lot of blockers that you're experiencing right now. Anybody else what is the common blocker that you're experiencing? What's coming up? Economic constraints, managing mental health while navigating uncertainty, chronic stress, health challenges, economic constraints, and it shows up for me as frustrating, concerning, where the future is uncertain. I hear you on that. The economic constraints, that is huge. Marital strain, yeah, wanting to immigrate without losing yourself and health. I hear you on that. I hear you on that. There's just a lot of challenges to kind of work through. And it's important to identify, what are the things that are holding you back and think about a strategy that you can really start to implement. right? And so, for example, if it's the caregiving responsibilities, is there someone else that you can kind of take turns with to give you a little bit of relief from that? The chronic stress and health challenges, making sure that you're pouring into yourself at this time. Economic constraints, making sure that, whatever you do, you have both a short-term plan and a long-term plan. So your short term might be, paying the bills, but your long term is that vision that you are working towards. Okay, chronic stress shows up for you as not being able to enjoy present moment with your child, constant caregiving constraint, not being able to take roles I want, but can't do the childcare responsibility before. And yes, that was a huge issue for me is the childcare responsibility. And that's why I came to the conclusion that I was going to start my own business because, or build on my business because the structural barriers, right? When we think about the structural barriers, um, really workplaces aren't built for parents. Like they want us to have all these kids, but the workplaces aren't built for parents, right? School ends at a certain time and we have to have that responsibility. So I hear you on that. Okay, so now we're going to move into the last section of this, which is the action section. This is the most important part for your next steps, okay? All right. So now, now that we've identified some things that are working, not working, and I think about that question I asked around, what would you be, if you had your way, what would you be spending 70% of your time doing? Right? So now there are three paths for you to take a look at. So number one is explore, which means you need a little bit more data to understand the next steps you want to take. Number two is decide. So this means you're kind of close to making that decision, but you just need to just decide and make that decision. And then lastly is you are going to commit. So I know the direction and these are the things that I'm going to do to move towards that direction. Okay, so now I have some targeted activities for each of these paths depending on where you're at. And before I move on to that, what path do you think you're on right now? Do you think you need to explore more? Do you think you need to decide? Or do you think that you need to commit? Where do you think you are right now on your journey? Explore, decide, commit. Let me take a look at the chat here. You know the direction, you just need to commit. Okay, all right. Um, explore. I think I'm in between exploring and deciding. So you're in the middle a little bit there. Deciding. Okay, deciding. Okay, we have a lot of deciding. I want to be between explore and decide. Has been pushing hard for decide, commit. Oh, I hear you. The pressure is real. I hear you on that. And I feel like if you are sort of experiencing that pressure, sometimes it's important to take a step back so you can really understand like your true needs because it's hard to make a decision when you're under pressure, right? Decide and commit, explore, and then decide. Okay, I love that. Between decide and commit. Okay, amazing. So quite a few of you are in the decide arena there. All right, so um, I'm under constant pressure, hence left the country so could work on these. I hear you. Oh, I love that you took that initiative to do that. That is so courageous of you, and not all of us can do that. So I definitely commend you for that. Commit and explore both if the path that I have committed does not work. Okay, got it. So you're doing both the exploring and the committing. So having a little bit of a like a backup plan in there. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, so here are some activities depending on where you are. Okay, so we'll start out with path one. So if you are in the explore zone, here's where you need to be doing some tiny experiments. Okay, so again, going back to that question, well, what would you be doing 70% of your, how would you spend 70% of your time if you had your way? Okay, now that you've identified that, now here are some activities you can do. You can conduct a 20-minute informational chat. So people who are in the industry that you're thinking about, people who are, doing the role that you want to do, people who are several steps above where you want to go. If you have a chance to do like a shadowing, so shadowing someone for an hour, right? So for example, if you know of like, say, if you're thinking about like, I don't know, like real estate or something, and a real estate agent's going to do like an open house, like go shadow them for a little bit and see like what's going on there. And then list 5 roles that align with your more of and values, the things that you want to do more of and aligns with your values right now. So those are 3 activities you can do in the explore zone. Okay. Next is path 2, decide. So make the choice. So here's an activity you can do. You can set a 30-minute decision date with yourself. So instead of overthinking, you're just going to just decide in that 30-minute time frame, what is the first thing that's coming up for you? Because often the first thing that's coming up for you is the thing that you want to do. It's just that you are pushing it down or something is preventing you from doing that. Next, you can do a 1-pager pros and cons list using your values. So if you have a list of your values, those things that are truly important to you, do your pros and cons list and see, do these things align with my values? If yes, maybe it's decide to pursue it further. If no, maybe you take it off the table. And then lastly, talk out your options with a trusted friend or mentor or, somebody you really trust. Talk about these options with them. If they really know you and they have an idea of what it is that, you can do, your strengths, your history, all of that good stuff, have a conversation with them to see like, okay, maybe you just need to talk it out to kind of just make that decision. And then lastly, for path 3, which is commit, here's where you're going to take some real steps. Okay. So number 1, you can update one section on your resume or LinkedIn. You can send one email to someone that can signal interest. And you can block one reoccurring time slot for career work. Okay. This is definitely something that I did when I was in my full-time role. When I was in my full-time role, I was slowly and steadily building out my business, but it was like 1 hour here, 1 hour there. It wasn't a sudden switchover. It was a slow build for me, but because I committed the time, it allowed me to move faster. Okay, so these are some activities, and I want you to take away one thing that you can do. Okay, so write down the path that you choose, your one tiny experiment, and when in the next 7 days you'll do it. I want you all to commit to a time between now and next Thursday when you will do this tiny activity. Okay, so I'm going to put it back on the next slide. So you're going to choose one of these activities. Okay, and I want you to put it in the chat. What path are you choosing and what one activity are you going to do between now and next Thursday, which is 7 days? What are you going to do? What activity are you going to do for the next 7 days? Let me know in the chat. I want to see some action, some goals. What are you going to commit to? These are great self-reflection. Oh, no problem. I'll update my LinkedIn. Yay. I'm going to take a look at that, Julia. I'm going to take a look. Just add a little bit of accountability for you there. So we have to update the LinkedIn. What else? What are folks wanting to commit to depending on your path? What's one thing you're going to do? One thing. One thing you're going to do. Let me know in the chat. I want to know that you all are committed to this journey and you are going to take that next step for yourself. So let me know in the chat what one thing you're going to do in your path is something you're going to do. Contact someone to shadow them. Yes, I love that. And please write down your insights on that when you do it. So, writing down what resonated for you, what did not resonate for you when you do your shadowing exercise. Okay. So, the next step is to contact that person. I love it. Anyone else want to share what they are going to commit to within the next 7 days? I'm going to follow up with you all, so make sure you let me know so I can do that follow up. You will reach out to those in your network, meet with them to have a conversation about some ideas of doing a reframe. Yes, focus on the business and gain some additional perspective. Yes, I love that. And these conversations just take you out of your stuck zone because sometimes those conversations bring so much insights into our world. I love that. Conduct a 20-minute informational chat. Love it. List 5 roles that align with your more of slash values. I used to contact people who do what I wanted to do, and I was surprised by how many people were happy to share. Yes, they are so happy to share. People are happy to share. I have conversation chats all the time, and I share my experience and my journey. And then, similarly, when I reach out to people as well too, they share with me, and that was a part of my process as well too when I was building out my business. Okay, so I love that we are all committed to taking at least one action step to get closer to our goal. And oh, I already did that slide. We're going to move on to the next. Um, what is one word that describes how you feel about your next steps? I've given you one action step to choose from. How are you feeling about that step? Let me know in the chat. How are you feeling about that next step? Juliet says, if meeting with someone outside your network is useful to you, I'd be happy to support you. Oh, that's really great. I love that. I love the support in this chat. We got some emails going. I love it. Connecting in real time. Okay, so yeah, let me know. What is one word that describes how you feel about your next steps? What are you feeling about your next steps? Confident. Yay. Curious. I love it. Curious is such a good word. I'm always curious. That's why I do what I do. So curious. Anyone else? What word is coming up for you when you think about your next steps? I haven't heard anybody say excited. I hope somebody is excited in here about your next steps because I think it's just like at least it's taking a step towards the direction that you want to go in. Intrigued. I love it. Love it. Okay, so of course, excited. Thank you. Thank you, Juliet. Ready to explore. Ready to explore. Okay, amazing. I love that so much. Okay, so anxious. Oh no. Okay, so we'll turn anxious into um something that you can be, maybe it's something to be just curious about. Somebody else already mentioned curious. If we can turn our anxiety or anxiousness into curiosity, that can be so helpful in this process, right? Because there's nothing, there's not an outcome attached to it. You're just curious about what will kind of come next. Hopeful. Okay, amazing. All right. So, before we end off, I just wanted to briefly mention, and I know I see a couple of people that I previously worked with on here. So you already know there is 2 ways to work with me if you want to continue to work on your goals together. So I do offer in-person career planning intensives in the Durham region. And so with this, you'll have dedicated time with me to address your career challenges without interruptions of daily life, space to go deeper, spend intentional time unpacking your fears, checkpoints without the pressure to wrap things up or leave things unresolved, and then creating momentum and getting clarity and a concrete action plan in our career planning day instead of staying in indecision for months. So it'll get you to that quick action point. And then I also work in the traditional way, which is over 8 sessions, helping you get the dedicated space to shift your mindset around challenges in your career decisions, doing 8 sessions weekly or biweekly over the course of 2 to 3 months, and then exploring insights that come up to you throughout the week to make targeted decisions together. So those are the two ways to work with me. And I just wanted to thank you for attending this session. I really appreciate it. If you're not already following me on the socials, here are all the socials that I have, or if you want to send me an email, you all should have my email by this point. Feel free to send me an email. And then I also do offer free consultation chats as well too. So if you just want to even just go over, what you came up with today, I am here to help you. So